Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shah, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shah. All praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah, Ba'ashem and Kakadash. Now, this lesson is going to be about the stone that hit the statue or the image in Daniel. So, first of all, let's start it off in Daniel and see what it said about this stone. Starting at Daniel chapter 2, verse 34, it says, Thou sawest till that a stone was cut out without hands, which smote the image upon his feet that were of iron and clay, and brake them to pieces. Okay, a stone came and broke the image, or hit the image upon his feet that was of iron and clay, and break them into pieces. Now, when you understand that the feet is Britain and America, what is this stone that's going to hit Britain and America, you see, and break them into pieces? Okay, let's get the history on this stone. So first we're going to Zechariah. Zechariah is one of the foundation scriptures. Mind you, that's how okay, we're going to go straight to the verse. Zechariah chapter 12, verse 3. Chapter 12, verse 3. And in that day will I make Jerusalem a burdensome stone. Jerusalem will be the burdensome stone for all people. Because when you look at the feet of iron and clay, they rule over all people. It's the rulership over all people is what the iron and clay represents on the foot of the image. And so it says that, and that Salakia, all that burden themselves with it shall be cut in pieces, though all the people of the earth be gathered together against it. Now that goes back to Psalms. Let's squeeze in Psalms 83. Psalms 83 to show how all nations are gathered against it. Because the verse said, though all the people of the earth be gathered together against it, this stone will still do what it was made to do. Okay, when you go to Psalms 83, starting at verse 2, it says, Lo, thine enemies make a tumult, a trap. They that hate thee have lifted up the head. Verse 3, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. Verse 4, they have said, Come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. Verse 5, for they have consulted together. There we go with the together. Because in Zechariah 12 and 3, it say the earth be gathered together against it. It say they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. Verse 6, the tabernacle of Edom, the so-called white man, and the Ishmaelites, the Arab, the Moabites, the Chinese, and the Hagarim, the African. Verse 7, the Jabal and Ammon, they're talking about the Japanese, and Amalek, the top tribe of the Edomites, who are the top banking families. Now, we broke that part down. Now let's get more on this Israel or Jerusalem breaking into pieces all the nations that's coming against them. Okay. Verse 9, it reiterates it. It said, "It shall come to pass in that day that I will seek to destroy all the nations that come against Jerusalem." So they will be a burdensome stone. Jerusalem will be that burdensome stone that's going to hit America and Britain. And this was prophecy. Been prophecy before Daniel wrote his book. Psalms chapter 2. Starting at verse 3, it says, "Let us break their bands asunder." That's the nations talking. "And cast away their cords from us." Okay, see, the nation got together, the heathens got together and came against the Israelites. And then in verse 9 it tells you the same thing about this stone. "Thou shalt break them with a rod of iron, thou shalt dash them into pieces like a potter's vessel." Okay, so they are like this image, potter's vessel, and the burdensome stone is going to break them into pieces, which is Jerusalem. Okay, you got Revelation. Let's get Revelation. Revelation says the same thing. Chapter 2, it says, "And he shall rule them with a rod of iron, as a vessel of a potter shall they be broken into shivers," or pieces. See, the nations will be broken by this stone, which are the Israelites. Now, let's get Micah. Micah chapter 4, verse 4, verse 8. It says, "And the remnant of Jacob," meaning the elect, "shall be among the Gentiles in the midst of many people, like a lion, the beast of like a lion among the beasts of the field, and a young lion among the flocks of sheep, who if he go through and treadeth them and teareth them down and teareth in pieces, and none can deliver." So he was going to tear them into pieces. Oh, this is Micah chapter 5, verse 8. Now you get Micah chapter 4, it said the same thing about the Israelites. Starting at verse 13. Well, let's hit verse 11 to get the context of Micah chapter 4. It said, now also many nations are gathered against thee. That's going along with Psalms 83 and the Zechariah. Nations are gathered together against thee. 13. Arise and thrust, O daughter of Zion, the Israelites, for I will make your horn iron, and I will make thy hoof brass, and thou shalt beat in pieces many people. You see, this was always about the Israelites breaking into pieces these nations, and they was always given or talked about as being a stone. Peter called them a stone. In 1 Peter chapter 2 verse 5, he said, "Ye also as lively stones are built up a spiritual house, a holy priesthood." Holy priesthood, okay. A priesthood. Who was a priesthood? Verse 9. "But ye are a chosen generation, a chosen family, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a peculiar people." You see, they are the holy or the separate people, the special people, the chosen family, the Israelites. Okay? That's why when you get to Revelation chapter 21, and you're talking about the kingdom of heaven, it says in verse 19, and the foundation of the wall of the city were garnished with all manner of precious stone. So now, not only was they a burdensome stone, their kingdom is going to have a foundation that's all precious stones. And the names of stone, the first foundation was jasper, the second was sapphire. I ain't gonna read all of them, but they all 12, symbolizing the 12 tribes of Israel. So the Israel's elect is the burdensome stone. The remnant of Jacob is this burdensome stone that's gonna break into pieces all the kingdoms and establish their kingdom. So I'm gonna leave it there. All praise to Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shah, Hashem Kakadash. Double honor to the elders pushing the truth. Peace of the elect worldwide. Our kingdom is at hand. Shalom.